through the mentor program. So I remember well meeting Erica for the first time over at the Gallagher Center when they first built it and what have you. And to this day, I've had probably 7 or 8 mentees, and she always goes, "You like me best, you like me best." So Erica, in a very good way, probably fits very well with the profile of what we're trying to do. So I've met both her mom and dad. They're fantastic people. Her dad and I always bond over the Cavaliers and what have you. But, you know, they certainly taught Erica all the right things, but they weren't in the business industry. So just the nuances from that, I was able to maybe share experiences that I had, mistakes that maybe I made that I didn't want her to trip over those same rocks. So one of the things that I really believe that the mentor program really helps is expedite the learning curve and to share those experiences, make connections to the appropriate people that might be able to present another vantage point. So, so by coincidence, Erica may or may not, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, I went to Huntington Bank and I was real excited to be there, so of course I had to bring Erica over as well. So that was kind of fun to work with her. And Mark Reitzes was the market president here in front, and now Mark and I are teamed up again with Northwest Bank and opening an office here and growing that. So it's kind of neat how all these kind of things intertwine, and it's just kind of fun to try to take care of people, give back to the community, and to do those kind of things. So with that, Erica, could you please come up here?
So I'm Erica Parker. I guess I'll take my graduation year because you can do the math. So I graduated from Xavier in 2007. Some of the information, so my family didn't go to college, so I was a first-year college student. First one in my family to go away, first one to leave with nest, first one to do any of that stuff. And in 2004, I got an email from the career department saying, "Hey, we're starting this mentor program. Do you want to be a part of it?" I said no. Like, I don't got time for that. I'm in student government, I'm in SAC, I don't have time for that. Then they reached out again and said, "Hey, we have a mentor that's really looking for someone to match your profile. Would you be willing to talk to him?" I was like, okay, clearly I need to make sure I make friends with the career service department, right? So make friends with them, that's a pro tip. Let me go to this and let me talk to this guy. So I met Jay, and at first I was like, oh my goodness. He's like, okay, what do you want to get out of this relationship? I said, I'm not really sure. I was asked to be here, and so I am here. And then he said, okay, well, where do you hope to treat? I said, I want to be a CFO. I want to be in the C-suite. I want to make a lot of money. Like, I like money, right? He's like, okay, I can help you with that. You need to listen. I was like, okay. He gave me legit an email full of homework. He wanted me to reach out to 5 connections. He wanted me to do research on 6 different companies. He wanted me to find out what internships I was interested in. Oh, and he wanted me to write a speech. Wow, yay, thank you Career Center for that, right? After doing that, I realized that there actually is some value in the mentorship experience. I want to walk you through some of the things I walked away with. I still have Jay and I texting each other, laughing, crying, screaming, laughing, me begging him to babysit to this day. Actually, I might need a babysitter soon, so let me plug out there. So some of the benefits of the mentorship program from my perspective is networking. I am an introvert. People who know me don't believe it, but I am a serious introvert. I don't like striking up conversations. It's uncomfortable. I don't understand the point of doing it. Well, when you have Jay Rush as a mentor, that is not an option. That is not an opportunity. So whenever there was an event, whenever there was an event on campus, off campus, whenever there was something, Jay would invite me. If I didn't come, Jay would come to campus and he would randomly show up, so then I would have to go. So I learned very quickly, I better figure out this whole networking thing. And so Jay taught me how to work a table, right? So I didn't know what that meant. What that means is when you're sitting on the table in an event like this, find a table where there's people that are smiling at you, sit down with them and walk around and introduce yourself to each person. Walk around and shake each of their hands, make eye contact, remember one interesting fact about them, and start a conversation. Didn't know that was a thing. My parents would never be able to teach me that. Another thing that Jay taught me about networking is making sure it's mutually beneficial. So Jay taught me that tip before there was LinkedIn, before there was social media, before there was any of those things, right? And so he always taught me, you don't want to be reaching out and asking for assistance when you need it. You want them to think of you before you need it. So that was another tip that he taught me. One other networking tip that Jay taught me, I'm gonna give you guys for free, is he taught me that it's always important to watch the room and see how people are interacting. Go where there are people that you feel comfortable talking with, join that circle and remember facts about them, and then follow back up with them after the event and make that connection. So I learned so much from Jay in networking that I still use those tips and tricks to this day. One other tip I'll give you, just because I feel like being super nice, is your elevator pitch. Jay taught me the importance of making sure that it's 30 seconds and that it's impactful. Don't give a whole bunch of fluff, no one cares about all that. He said, get to the meat, get to the potatoes, get it out, and tell them what you need from them and how you can help them. And so to this day, I still have that same elevator pitches in the back of my mind that I use at all times. The other thing I took away from the mentorship program is connections. Jay Rush knows everybody in Cincinnati, and then Indianapolis, Kentucky, everywhere. Jay knows everybody, like everywhere. And when I was looking for an internship, I said, Jay, I don't know who to reach out to, what can I do? He said, I can't guarantee you anything, but I have a book of people I can reach out to, and you take it from there. Great. I think I met with about 50 people, no joke. And then every connection, Jay would ask me, what's one thing you learned about them? What did you take away from it? So I had to keep a notebook. So before you were taking notes on your phone, I had a legit notebook that said Jay Rush questions. So I couldn't answer the question, he would add more work onto that. So I had to get proactive and be more prepared for the Jay questions. The other thing about connections that I learned from Jay is that you want to make sure you're always replenishing your well with connections. And so what Jay told me, Erica, at some point, you don't believe me today, you're going to be old, like me. And you need to make sure that your Rolodex doesn't look like everyone like you. You want to make sure that you're replenishing with people that are still coming through school, people that are in different life situations, people that are in different backgrounds, because that's how you keep yourself well connected, right? The other thing that connecting with Jay taught me is exposure and the value of exposure. And so when I was in college, I knew I wanted to be rich, let's be clear, I knew that. I knew I wanted to be in the C-suite, and I knew I did not want to move back home. And so what I asked Jay is help me find internships so I can figure out what I want to do. So I got an internship working at a nonprofit at the hospital. He connected me with someone from Coca-Cola that offered me a job when I graduated, but that's a different story. He also helped me navigate a difficult situation when I took a job at a retailer, and I absolutely hated that. I mean, I hated it. I had to run, and Jay helped me. And so when I look back at the mentorship program, I look back on like, what are the benefits? And in my mind, it's networking, connections, and exposure. Then that leads me to unintended benefits of the program. So at the beginning, I made a joke of Jay saying, thank you for babysitting. Well, since you guys are all here, if I need him to babysit, now would be a right time to ask, right? Like, hey, can I get you to babysit this day? But I won't do that to him, don't worry. But one of the great things about Jay is that he turned into being what I didn't really expect, as being the older brother I never knew I wanted, and the second father that was always watching me and ready to snitch me onto my dad if I did something bad, right? Jay also, we connected our families, and so Jay has 3 beautiful girls, and a very amazing wife who puts up with Jay, which she deserves an award. But Jay and I interacted with our families. My daughters know Jay as Uncle Jay. When I met my fiance at the time, I told him, I was like, you have to impress Jay. If Jay doesn't sign off, I can't marry you. So my husband now, who also is a Xavier alum, met Jay, and Jay asked him questions, and Jay gave him thumbs up. Jay went to my wedding. When my daughters were young and my husband and I were sleep deprived, Jay and his wife came and took the girls for a weekend. So like those are some of the unintended benefits. I'm not signing you up, mentors, for that lifelong commitment. But those are some of the unintended benefits that you really don't think about when you're in this program, right? You're thinking about them emailing you, you're thinking about the lunch, you're thinking about the luncheon, you're thinking about, can they help me get a job? Yes, they can probably help with all those things, but if you actually nurture that relationship and invest in it, it can be a lifelong partnership that you're connected with. Which brings me to my other point I want to talk about with Jay is he has a very great way of continuing to stay in contact with me. So when Jay calls me, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's like, oh goodness, what does Jay want today? But I appreciate it because Jay will say, how's it going? How's the family? You doing all right? You doing good? Okay, bye. It's a 5-minute conversation. But those 5-minute conversations over the past, oh my God, Jay, has it been 20 years? Woo! Over the past 20 years turn into like a lifetime friendship and a lifetime connection that you just can't get. And my lasting words, or my closing, is that this is a quote that always stands out to me that I love. A mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. That's from Rob Proctor. What I want to tell you, mentees, is lean into the program, right? Even if you're not understanding the value, you're not really seeing what it's going to give to you, what I'm here to tell you is, I'm going to tell you guys. So there are probably several jobs or opportunities that I had in my career that I would not have gotten without Jay. Jay gave you the example of Huntington. I was at a retailer, I didn't like that job, needed to get out. I applied for an opportunity, Jay helped me do some networking, I was able to work there. I got an opportunity at US Bank for an internship. I didn't know anything about banking, Jay's in banking, clearly still. He made some connections, I got that opportunity. I had another opportunity with Coca-Cola. So a lot of the opportunities I got early on in my career were from connections connections that Jay was able to manifest for me using some of the skills and techniques he's taught me. So my main thing I want you guys to walk away with, there's definitely value in this mentorship program. If your friends aren't in the mentorship program, I say bring them along because they're gonna be trying to tap into your connection, so expand your connection by having your friends participate. And just enjoy it and celebrate it. And that's all. Thank you guys.